She was the reason for ending once called an ideal relationship. In a quiet suburban neighborhood, there lived a woman named Emma. She was a charming lady with a heart as warm as the summer sun and married to a kind and loving man named David. Theirs was a seemingly happy life, but little did anyone know that a storm was brewing beneath the facade of marital bliss. Emma's next-door neighbor, Ethan, a dashing man, catalyzed this turmoil. He had moved in just a few months ago, and his presence had subtly but profoundly changed Emma's life. It all began innocently enough, with neighborly chats over the white picket fence, sharing tales of their day and exchanging the occasional cup of sugar. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, Emma found herself drawn to Ethan in ways she hadn't anticipated. Their conversations grew longer, smiles lingered too often, and the exchange of stolen glances became an unspoken language between them. It was a dangerous dance, one that both of them knew they shouldn't be indulging in. But the heart, as it often does, had its plans. Emma fell in love with Ethan, her neighbor, a man she knew she could never have. Her heart was torn between her love for her husband David and the newfound forbidden love for Ethan. One day, while searching for some documents, David discovered the truth. One fateful evening, as the sun set in a fiery blaze, he stumbled upon a heartfelt letter from Emma to Ethan, hidden away in the depths of her desk drawer. The words on those pages were a painful revelation of her feelings for her neighbor. David's heart shattered into a million pieces, and the once happy home was filled with tears, anger, and betrayal. He didn't know how to react in this grief situation. He started drinking and would go to bars and come late at night. Finally, one day after coming from the office, he asked Emma about her affair. Emma was shocked and didn't say anything initially, but David insisted. Finally, Emma confessed to her affair and the love she had developed for Ethan. She told David about her decision to leave him and be with Ethan, believing she would find happiness in their forbidden love. But little did she know that Ethan had his demons to wrestle with. The following day, she left home to meet Ethan, but Emma was rejected when she went to Ethan's door to tell him of her decision. Ethan had never intended to break Emma's marriage and was not ready for the consequences of their affair. He refused her advances and asked her to leave him alone. Emma found herself homeless, with her marriage shattered and her lover rejecting her. Emma's life had crumbled around her, leaving her with regret and despair. Homeless and heartbroken, Emma roamed the streets, desperately trying to find a way to mend her broken life. She had lost her marriage, her lover, and her home. Emma's life had taken a dark and unexpected turn after her rejection by Ethan. She was mad at Ethan and wanted to take revenge on Ethan for what he did to her. She wandered the city streets, homeless and brokenhearted, when fate brought her face to face with a mysterious stranger named Victor. Their meeting occurred one chilly evening at a local cafe where Emma had sought refuge from the biting cold. With his enigmatic aura and piercing eyes, Victor observed Emma from a corner of the cafe. He noticed the sorrow etched on her face and the weariness in her eyes. Unable to resist, he approached her with a sympathetic smile. "Is this seat taken?" Victor asked, gesturing to the empty chair across from Emma. Emma, her guard lowered by her recent hardships, shook her head and offered a faint smile. "No, please, go ahead." Victor's interest grew as they exchanged pleasantries, and Emma shared her story of love, betrayal, and her quest for revenge against Ethan. He was intrigued by her vulnerability and the fire of determination that still burned within her. "Emma," Victor said, his voice low and conspiratorial, "I can help you get your revenge on Ethan. But it won't be easy and may require doing things you never thought possible. Are you prepared for that?" Emma hesitated for a moment, contemplating the consequences of such a decision. But the pain and anger that had consumed her led her to nod in agreement. "Yes, Victor, I'll do whatever it takes to make him pay." Over several weeks, Emma and Victor devise a cunning plan to exact revenge on Ethan. They gathered information about Ethan's life, weaknesses, and secrets. With her proximity as his neighbor, Emma had access to valuable insights. Their plan was multifaceted. They started with sabotaging Ethan's career. Victor had connections in the corporate world, and they decided to tarnish Ethan's professional reputation. They created a fake online identity that accused Ethan of unethical behavior, which was then shared on professional networks. Emma would maintain contact with Ethan, pretending to want reconciliation while secretly feeding him false hope and lies. This emotional manipulation was meant to destabilize him further. Victor and Emma conspired to make Ethan question his sanity. They would arrange for subtle, unsettling events to occur in his life, causing him to doubt his perception of reality. Their plan was meticulously crafted, with Victor's expertise and Emma's insider knowledge of Ethan's life. As the months passed, the revenge plot unfolded with ruthless precision. Ethan's world crumbled, and he became increasingly paranoid and isolated. Weeks later, in the dimly lit room, Emma and Victor watched as their elaborate revenge plot against Ethan reached its dramatic conclusion. The toll it had taken on their souls was evident in their haunted eyes, but they had come too far to turn back now. Ethan, their unsuspecting victim, had descended into a state of emotional turmoil and paranoia that neither had anticipated. He had lost friends, his career lay in ruins, and he questioned his sanity daily. But during all this, something also happened. It was a devastating fate that weighed heavily on Emma's conscience. But as the final act of their revenge played out, an unexpected twist unfolded. One evening, as Ethan sat alone in his darkened living room, tormented by the demons of his past, he received an anonymous letter. It was addressed simply to Ethan. With trembling hands, he opened the letter and began to read. It was a heartfelt message filled with apologies and expressions of love. It was as if the writer of the letter had suddenly realized the depth of their mistakes and wanted to make amends. As Ethan read further, his heart pounding, he realized the truth. The letter was from Emma, his former lover and neighbor. In it, she confessed her role in the revenge plot and her deep remorse for what they had done to him. She begged for forgiveness and expressed a desire to reconcile. Emma's confession sent shockwaves through Ethan's shattered world. He had believed that he was the victim of a cruel conspiracy, and now he was confronted with the reality that Emma had also been a pawn in this vendetta. Meanwhile, Emma and Victor watched from a distance, their emotions in turmoil. They had expected Ethan's anguish to continue, not for their revenge plot to crumble before their eyes. As they saw the glimmer of hope in Ethan's eyes, they were shocked. They couldn't help but question the morality of their actions. Ethan's response to the letter was unexpected. Instead of seeking revenge or lashing out in anger, he chose a different path. He reached out to Emma, not with a vengeance in his heart, but with a desire to understand how they had all reached this point of darkness. Having received Emma's heartfelt letter of confession and reconciliation, Ethan decided to meet with her in person. They arranged a meeting at a quiet park, where the autumn leaves rustling in the breeze, carrying with them the weight of their tangled emotions. As Emma and Ethan sat on a weathered park bench, tears welled up in their eyes. They talked for hours, sharing their regrets, pain, and longing for a fresh start. It was a poignant moment of vulnerability and forgiveness, a chance for two people torn apart by betrayal to heal their wounded hearts. Victor had been silently observing their meeting from a distance, hidden among the trees, unbeknownst to them. He had played his part, manipulating events to shatter Ethan's life, all while maintaining the illusion of a remorseful co-conspirator. Victor's true intentions became much more profound. He had never been content with mere revenge against Ethan. His ultimate target had always been Emma herself. In a shocking twist, the story took an even darker turn. He had orchestrated a cruel and elaborate scheme to break her spirit, to make her question her sanity, and to leave her utterly alone and devastated. His evil intentions were fueled by a deep-seated desire for vengeance that knew no bounds. Victor began by reaching out to Emma to seek redemption. He wanted to start a new life. Emma had stopped talking to him since she mended her ties with Ethan. Victor was furious about this. He presented himself as a changed man, claiming to have realized the error of his vengeful ways. Emma, yearning for a fresh start and forgiveness, was cautiously receptive to his overtures. Over time, Victor worked diligently to rebuild Emma's trust. He portrayed himself as a confidant and ally who understood the depths of her remorse and was committed to helping her heal. Emma, in her vulnerability, began to confide in him, sharing her fears, regrets, and the pain she had caused Ethan. As Victor gained Emma's trust, he subtly manipulated events in her life. He orchestrated situations that played on Emma's guilt and paranoia, making her question the reality of her actions. For instance, he would hint at conversations or interactions that Emma had no recollection of, sowing the seeds of doubt in her mind. Victor's manipulation extended to gaslighting, a tactic to make Emma doubt her sanity. He would subtly alter details of past events and conversations, causing Emma to second-guess her memory. Emma began to feel as if she were losing her grip on reality. To further isolate Emma, Victor took advantage of her guilt. He convinced her that she needed to distance herself from Ethan to atone for her actions. Eager to make amends, Emma reluctantly followed his advice, severing ties with the one person who had offered her redemption. Victor used psychological tactics to destabilize Emma further. He employed techniques like sleep deprivation, constant questioning, and manipulating her emotions. Emma's mental and emotional state deteriorated rapidly under this relentless pressure. As Victor's intricate plan unfolded, Emma's once steady resolve crumbled. She was trapped in a nightmarish web of deceit and manipulation, unable to trust her perceptions of reality. The line between truth and deception blurred, and she questioned her sanity more daily. Victor's revenge was a harrowing journey into the darkest recesses of the human psyche, demonstrating the profound impact that psychological manipulation and gaslighting can have on an individual's mental and emotional well-being. Emma was, by mistake, trusting a stranger like Victor who took advantage of her miserable situation.